How we doing, folks? Well, I hope you enjoyed my workout, because I know I did. That was 29 minutes of torture. That was tough. That was tough, you know. I was on the edge, you know. I just made it up as I went along. Went from one exercise to another, pushing myself. But that's what I do. Now, I've spent my life having to prove, not just to myself, but to others, who I am. You know, I grew up dyslexic, so when I was at school, people used to call me stupid because I couldn't read. I grew up the son of a miner who had to carry on working through the strikes because of what his job was and the responsibilities and the safeties of others' lives depended on what the job my dad did. So my dad didn't strike. So, you know, we were a scab family and all this lot, and because I lived in a mining village, I got isolated. You know, bricks through the windows, scab written on the car, isolated and bullied at school. So I had to learn how to fight. I had to learn how to fight every day. And I still fight now. I'm 46 years old, and I'm happy with all the hardship and struggles that I've gone through with life and the choices I've made. Now, when I was younger, I had a bit of a more shadier past when I worked on the other side of the law, and then I turned my back on it all, because when you see somebody get their ear bit off for money, it does change how you look on life. I went to live in Holland when I was 25, dyslexic, to set up a printing graphics company. And people said to me, "Well, aren't you scared because you can't read Dutch and whatever?" And I says, well, at the time, I says, I can't read English, so it doesn't matter, because I didn't learn to read till I was 29. And since then, I've read and read and read and studied and studied and studied. And I even went back to college and did my personal training certificate and come top of the class. And I also did that on my own terms. Now, I started studying kettlebells back in 1998. Originally with Pavlo's work in the RKC, until 2007 when I went and trained with Velasi Giko down in London and came in contact with kettlebell sports. Now, even up to that point there, nobody knew what kettlebells were. You know, I trained in all the gyms, I taught in all the gyms, and it was nothing but struggle trying to show people this way and that way and whatever. And now everybody's an expert. It's the same with the clubs. You know, it's constantly, because I'm always on the edge, the cutting edge of fitness and knowledge and whatever, of constantly having to prove and explain who I am. And then, like I say, this is in my college work, which I still have now. I have the PDF files. My work got externally verified because I chose the hardest option for my 12-week plan for when I did my personal training certificate. So because of the work I did, because I was using Pavlo's stuff and Scottson and stuff, and even Thierry Sanchez stuff in my work, in my explanations and in my training plan, I had to back it all up. This is the only meal of my day. I've just not ate for 24 hours. You've just seen the workout, and I'm cooking outside. Now, I spent 8 years living in the garage. After living here in Portugal in the early 2000s and then going back to the UK, I spent 8 years living in the garage. Spent 4 years sleeping on the floor, no hot water, no heating. And I built the Renegade Revolution from that base. I didn't just survive in that environment, I thrived in that environment. And the lessons I learned there, I make sure I never forget. Here at the training camp now, I have a choice. Have hot water or not. I choose not to. I choose not to have no heating. I choose not to forget the lessons I learnt in them hard times, in all the hard times. I started working when I was 14 at the weekends, and then on a farm, and then a little bit later on a few more days in the week. I learned at a young age how to graft, you know. Being dyslexic, I left school with no qualifications. I left in 1989, and what did I do? Building sites, grafting, lifting, carrying, blisters. No comfy office jobs. So all the lessons I've learnt from being bullied, from being attacked on the streets, from working the doors and private security, living with no money. I've never signed on and got job seekers allowance ever. I don't owe 1 penny to not one person in this planet. I don't owe anything. I don't owe nothing. I don't do no shitty fucking job that I don't like. I don't have anybody around me who I don't like. The things you don't do in life have more benefit than the things you do. So, no shitty jobs, no credit card debts, no bad diet, no nasty people around me. I'm happy as Larry. I keep my confrontation down to the minimum, and the only person I argue with is the wife, and that's only because I'm stubborn and I make things hard for myself. Because when this shit hits the fan, let me tell you, you think your so-called friends are going to be there to help you out. Well, I found out in the early 2000s, no, they're not. So there's lessons to be learnt in the cold, and there's lessons to be learnt from the hunger. I hope you never have to find out, but I tell you, that first 7 days when you live on the street, when you lose your job, your house gets taken away from you, or you get divorced and you end up drinking and become a drug addict or whatever, whichever spiral, downward spiral you can happen, and it can all happen very, very quickly. You'll be surprised at what you can do. But also, if you're doing a shitty job to pay for debts of just materialistic things, that's not much of a life. Just this last year I've lost 3 friends. One at 51, one at 47 and one at 41. So life can be short. So do you want to spend it moaning and whinging and hating what you do? I choose to live with nothing, so I don't have to put myself in a shitty environment working for shitty people who don't appreciate you. I know many a good person who's in that situation, and it's destroying them every day, minute by minute, like putting a knife in. Most of you on my Facebook group, on Facebook, you're not into fitness and you're not into health, and the only time you worry about your health is when you're sick and then you go to a doctor to say, oh, I'm ill, and try and take a pill. When prevention is much more better than the cure. The human body is valued at over £50 billion if they could build one. Some things they can fix, but most of the stuff they can't. The whole way they're looking at the human body is changing because of technology. Now you have the microbiome, and they realise that the gut, the microbiome, the intelligent life form that lives in your stomach ain't even human. The human body is more non-human than human due to the amount of bacteria that we have. that outweigh the human genome. The microbiome sends 90% information to the brain, and the brain only sends 10% back down to the stomach, to the gut, to your intestines. 95% of serotonin is made in your stomach, and serotonin is what makes you feel happy, along with your dopamine receptors. I choose this life so I can help others. I don't work in a gym doing stupid amount of hours for minimum wages where your skill and your knowledge is making somebody else money who don't appreciate it. I'm here at the training camp or at the apartment. So I can help those that can't afford to help to pay for trainers. I've always had the Mr. Miyagi mindset. I started judo when I was 9 and consistently trained up till I was 21. It was my life, and at one point 6 days a week. The knowledge I've gained, I'm able to help people. And I sort of have this crazy notion of helping people who can't afford to hire people. So by me having a simple life means I don't have to panic as much about charging them stupid amounts of money. There's quite a few part-time trainers out there. There's even a lot more fake Instagrammers. And I'm following a few of them. Yeah? And it's just a fashion show. It's a picture and a fashion and an affiliation link. Now, I don't sell no online programs, which is very financially rewarding for a lot of trainers. I only have a few followers on Instagram, less than 200. My YouTube channel's like 30 people, and so on. But I've just spent a year studying how to do filmmaking and how to product, so that in the near future I can put stuff out there for people. I can't help all ears, because a lot of you won't even help yourself. But there's a few people that I have helped and am helping, and it's making a difference to their lives. And that makes me warm and feel warm inside, knowing that I have helped somebody. Because in all my life there's only ever been a couple of people been there to help me. So I don't moan and whinge about my struggles. I don't tell you about the difficulties that I face on a daily basis. I try and what I put out there to be positive, because it might just inspire somebody. At the moment, well, for quite a while now, I've been living on less than a budget of €3 a day. I've actually dropped 10 kilos in body weight since my birthday in March. My performance hasn't dropped. Everything else has actually increased. I can run 20k straight now. I could cycle 100 miles straight now. I could swim 5k right now. I can do a continuous 1 hour workout right now. But also I can graft 10 hours a day, 7 days a week right now. Many a fighter has lost a fight because he got soft. The key is to stay hard, to stay hungry all the time, even in times of comfort. Take care, folks.